The distress beacon cut through the void like a scream. Sarah's fingers danced across the console of her medical frigate, the Sanctuary's hope, as she locked onto the signal's origin. Deep space, sector uncharted, coordinates that made her navigation AI hesitate before plotting the jump. She'd been a field medic for the Terran Emergency Response Corps for 8 years, and she'd learned to trust her instincts over algorithms. Jumping in 3, 2, the stars stretched and snapped back into focus. What greeted her made her breath catch. A Carthene warship hung dead in space, its hull torn open like paper. The Carthene, apex predators of the Andromeda Arm, beings whose very presence made entire species surrender without firing a shot. Their ships were legends of indestructibility, their warriors' stories parents told children to ensure obedience, and one of them was calling for help. Sarah brought her frigate alongside the breach. Through the gaping wound in the hull, she could see movement, massive, desperate movement. Her scanners confirmed what seemed impossible. 2 life signs, one fading fast. She didn't hesitate. Hesitation killed patience. The airlock cycled. Sarah pulled on her emergency suit, grabbed her medical pack, and launched herself into the debris field. Chunks of alien metal spun past her helmet as she maneuvered through the breach. The emergency lights inside the Carthene ship cast everything in crimson. That's when she saw him. Thryn was nearly 3 meters tall, his muscled frame covered in chitinous armor that had evolved over millions of years to withstand vacuum, radiation, and weapons fire. His forearms ended in claws that could rend steel. His mandibles could crush bone. Eyes like molten gold tracked her every movement as she entered his ship. In those arms, he held something small, something fragile, a cub, no larger than a human child. Sarah's medical scanner screamed warnings at her. The cub was dying. Oxygen deprivation, hypothermia. The ship's life support had failed in this section. The cub had minutes, maybe less. Thryn's voice came through her suit's universal translator, a sound like grinding stone. "Help! My son!" She moved forward. Thryn's body tensed, every muscle coiling. His upper arms spread wide, claws extending. A warning. A father protecting his young from a species that the Carthene had hunted for sport less than a generation ago. Humans were prey. Humans were weak. Humans were... "Let me help him," Sarah said, her voice steady. She set down her medical pack and opened it, showing him the equipment inside. "I'm a doctor." Thryn's growl reverberated through her suit. "Human... doctor?" "Yes." She pulled out a portable atmosphere generator, a thermal blanket, emergency oxygen. "Your son is dying. Let me work." The Carthene warrior didn't move. His claws remained extended, his massive frame blocking her path. She could see the calculation in those golden eyes, the instinct warring with desperation. She was small enough to crush with one hand, fragile, breakable, but his son was dying. "Please," Sarah said. She took another step forward into reach of those claws. "I know what you think of humans. I know what your people have done to mine. But right now, none of that matters. Only he matters." She pointed at the cub, whose breathing had become shallow, whose silver skin had taken on a blue tinge. Thryn's mandibles clicked together, a sound of anguish. And then, slowly, impossibly, he stepped aside. Sarah didn't waste the gift. She moved past him, past those claws that could end her in a heartbeat, and knelt beside the cub. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency, atmosphere generator first, creating a bubble of breathable air around the small form. The thermal blanket next, wrapping it around the cub's shivering body. Oxygen mask, vital sign monitor. Behind her, Thryn loomed. She could feel his presence like a storm about to break, every predatory instinct screaming at him that a human this close to his offspring was wrong, dangerous, unnatural. "His core temperature is too low," Sarah said, not turning around. She couldn't afford to show fear. Fear would trigger the hunt response. "I need to warm him faster." She opened her suit's front seal and pulled the cub against her chest, her own body heat radiating into the small form. The cub was surprisingly light, its chitinous plates not yet hardened. She could feel its heartbeat, rapid and weak. Thryn made a sound she'd never heard from a Carthene before, almost like a whimper. "Talk to him," Sarah said. "Let him hear your voice." For a moment, nothing. Then Thrin's voice came, softer than she'd thought possible from such a creature, speaking in his native tongue, words she couldn't understand but recognized. A father's love, a father's fear, a father's promise. The cub's heartbeat steadied. His breathing deepened. Minutes passed like hours. Sarah monitored every vital sign, adjusted oxygen flow, maintained the temperature. Her own air supply dwindled. She'd vented atmosphere when she opened her suit, but she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Finally, the cub's eyes opened. 3 pairs of them, blinking in confusion. "He's stable," Sarah said. She carefully transferred the cub back to Thrin's arms, then sealed her suit before her own oxygen ran out. "He'll need medical attention, but he'll live." Thrin cradled his son, all 4 arms wrapped protectively around the small body. When he looked at Sarah, something had changed in those golden eyes. "You risked your life," and he said, "for a Carthene cub, for the spawn of a species that has killed thousands of your kind." Sarah stood, exhausted, and met his gaze. "I'm a doctor. That's what we do. We don't see enemies or allies. We see patients." She picked up her medical pack. "My ship has a full medical bay. I can treat him properly there, and I can patch your vessel enough for a controlled jump to the nearest station, if you'll allow it." Thrin was silent for a long moment. Then he bowed his massive head, a gesture of respect among his people, one never given to humans. "I am Thrin of the Bloodclaw clan. I was taught that humans are weak, fragile, prey." His mandibles clicked softly. "I was wrong. You pushed me back bare-handed because my son needed air and heat first. You gave your own oxygen to save him." He straightened. "The Carthene will remember this. I will remember." Sarah smiled, though he couldn't see it through her helmet. "Just remember to keep that cub warm and talk to him. Cubs need their father's voice." As she guided Thrin and his son back to the sanctuary's hope, Sarah didn't think about medals or recognition. She thought about a small heartbeat growing stronger, about golden eyes that saw humanity differently now. Sometimes the greatest victories weren't won with weapons. Sometimes they were won with open hands and an open heart.